We're here today at the third Family Farms protest, and this time round we're going to be asking people what they think about inheritance tax. The TPA have done some research into how many Brits exactly think that the inheritance tax is actually the most unfair tax for Britons, and we're going to get their opinions today and see what these farmers and these allies of farmers think about that. What do you think of the inheritance tax?
So the inheritance tax is completely unfair, really. You know, it's something that we've always worked around as family businesses, and now it's coming in. You know, for us, even we're only a 400 acre farm, but it's going to cripple us because it's not just the tax on the inheritance side; it's the tax of the bigger picture, of the machinery, of the land, of the buildings, of everything that goes with it.
Yeah, so it's interesting actually because we had some polling done and it showed that 61% of Brits actually agree and say that inheritance tax is their least favourite tax.
Very much so.
Yeah.
You know, in countries like Switzerland, I think, for example, they don't have it at all and they're a thriving country.
Yeah. So what do you think of the inheritance tax?
I think it should all be abolished, and not just for farmers but for everybody. It's affecting a lot of regular people that will inherit a home from their parents or grandparents, and they will have a shock when they come to inherit it to find that the government are having a slice of it. Something that's been worked on, worked for a long while. A lot of people worked hard for that money and it's gone. So it's a bad tax. At the very least, it's not been indexed up for many years, so it's a stealth tax, and we pay taxes all the rest of the time, and for us in particular, we don't own the land, we just pass it to the next generation. We're guardians. We don't think we own it, we want to hand it down. So we don't think of the wealth of the land. It means nothing to us. It's just an encumbrance that it's worth a lot of money through no fault of our own.
Yeah, my dad's worked incredibly hard to get the farm that we've got. He's left it to me and my brother, I can't even explain how lucky we are to have that. Me and my brother might end up losing it because of paying the inheritance tax. It's £450,000. I'm 20, I've just turned 27. My brother is 22. How on earth are we meant to cough up £450,000 inheritance tax?
And it's great talking to young people who are set to. You're quite young in life, and you've only been doing this for so long, and now you're faced with a massive bill that you were never expected to even encounter before.
No, I mean the only way we could physically pay for it is by selling the farm.
Yeah,
and
that's your whole life. You've grown up on that farm.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my dad's passed away, and he put it to me and my brother, and he didn't know this was going to happen. And there's a possibility that we could end up having to sell it.
Bad on top of bad. Your dad's just passed away, and you're already in mourning.
And he worked so hard to get it.
It's his legacy.
It's So it's not good.
It's quite heartbreaking. This is very somber, you know what I mean? What do you guys think about the inheritance tax?
It's absolute rubbish. Why should you be taxed when you're taxed enough when you're alive? Pay 30-40% on everything you earn all the way through life, die, and then you want to leave something to your kids for the next generation. Especially now, our generation, housing's through the roof, everything's through the roof. The one thing our grandparents can do for us when they pass on as parents is give us that little bit of a head start, get on the housing market, and it's gone.
So this is the one thing that we have to defend. This will destroy the country, without a doubt. It will.
You've both made really good points. And what do you think about this? We had some polling done for us which showed that 61% of Brits are on side with you, saying that the inheritance tax is their least favourable tax, they hate it. Do you find that surprising? Are you animals?
Not at all. I'm surprised at how low that percentage is, if I'm being completely honest. I mean, I know that this change will affect everyone that I know in the farming community, and it is terrible that it's going to affect everyone that I know. I mean, I've married into a farming family, and this will affect my husband's future because he won't be able to get it passed down through the families. It's currently owned by his grandfather, and it will seriously affect our country, as well as it's not just the tax on farming, it's the tax on everyone. It should be the one thing that isn't taxed, just like it isn't in the USA now.
That's a fantastic point. It's actually funny, the one group that it wasn't their most hated tax was PhD students.
Strange.
You mean career students? There's a surprise there, isn't there?
What do you think of the inheritance tax?
It's an attack on the countryside. It's not just about farming. It's a tax on anybody that lives in a rural area. It's a decision that's been made in the city. It's not about the farmers.
You have a poem for us.
Yeah.
So we're really excited to hear this.
It's an attack on the countryside, not just the farmer. We're all going to suffer at the hands of Keir Starmer. That's the farmhand, the lorry driver, an engineer, the village shop, the garage, and where they drink beer. Starmer, you have no idea of your tax implication. It's not just the farmers, you're killing the nation.
That's beautiful, isn't it? What do you think of the inheritance tax?
Well, it's robbing the future of British agriculture, isn't it? It's taking it away from the family farms, which are and have been for several hundred years feeding the country, and it's robbing the future of that. It's damaging our food security.
We at the TPA had some polling done for us that showed 61% of Brits voted that the inheritance tax was the most unfair tax on Britons. So do you think that's surprising at all? Are you number too high, number too low? What do you think?
It's not surprising at all, is it? Because people that are affected by inheritance tax are the people that are more fortunate, maybe. And they've worked for generations to build up these assets, and they're being robbed of it, aren't they?
Yeah. And there we have it, everyone. It's extremely clear to see today that farmers are still really, really annoyed. Everyone is still angry and still has the amount of passion that we saw in the first protest. But it's not just about farmers. What we've revealed today is that it's about inheritance tax as a whole. It's unfair, it's a death tax, it needs to go, and there's general support for it going. If you agree and you believe that inheritance tax should be scrapped, go to scrapinheritance.tax.com to join our campaign.